The night holds secrets, desires you should never have, and temptations you may not survive. Welcome to Midnight Temptations.
I used to believe that when someone died, they were simply gone. No matter how much you loved them. No matter how desperately you begged them to stay. No matter how many nights you whispered their name into an empty room. Dead was dead. I believed that for 3 years. Then I met Daniel. And for the first time since my husband's funeral, I wondered if I might still have a heart capable of loving someone else. My husband's name was Michael. He had been my world. For 12 years, I had fallen asleep beside him, woken beside him, laughed with him, argued with him, made plans with him. Then one rainy evening, he left for work and never came home. The phone call came at 11:43 that night. I remember the exact time because I stared at the clock while the police officer stood in my doorway. 3 years later, I still couldn't look at 11:43 without feeling like someone had reached inside my chest and squeezed my heart. After Michael died, I stopped living. I went through the motions. I went to work. I bought groceries. I answered people's questions. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. But I never really came back to myself. Then Daniel walked into my life. It happened at a little coffee shop near my apartment. He accidentally knocked my book onto the floor. He picked it up, apologized, and noticed the title. "You like horror?" I laughed. "Apparently." He smiled. "Apparently. It's complicated." He sat across from me. We talked for almost 2 hours. When I finally walked home that afternoon, I realized something that frightened me. I had smiled. A real smile. For the first time in years. Daniel didn't try to replace Michael. That was what made me trust him. He understood that there was a part of me that would always belong to the man I had lost. He never asked me to forget. He simply asked me to let him be part of whatever life I had left. Slowly, I did. Months passed. Daniel and I became inseparable. He made me laugh. He held me when memories of Michael became too painful. And eventually, I began to believe that perhaps loving again wasn't betrayal. Perhaps Michael would have wanted me to be happy. Then something strange happened. The first time I noticed it, Daniel and I were lying together in bed. The room was dark. Rain tapped against the window. Daniel pulled me close. And for just a moment, I felt another hand brush gently against my shoulder. I froze. Daniel noticed. "What's wrong?" I couldn't answer. Because I knew that touch. I had known it for 12 years. It was Michael's. I told myself it was grief. Nothing more. Grief can make you imagine things. At least that's what I told myself. But it happened again. And again. Sometimes it was a familiar touch. Sometimes it was the faintest whisper near my ear. Once, while Daniel was asleep beside me, I felt someone kiss my lips. I opened my eyes. No one was there. I sat upright in bed, staring into the darkness. "Michael." Daniel continued sleeping. I laughed nervously. I was losing my mind. That had to be it. But the strange moments continued. And slowly, I stopped being afraid of them. I started waiting for them. Because whenever that familiar presence appeared, I felt something I hadn't felt since the night Michael died. I felt safe, loved, known. Sometimes, I would close my eyes and imagine that Michael was beside me again. I knew it wasn't real. At least, that's what I told myself. Then one night, something changed. Daniel and I were together in our bedroom. The lights were low. The rain was falling outside. Daniel pulled me close. And suddenly, the air in the room became cold. Not cool, cold, freezing. The kind of cold that seems to come from somewhere much deeper than the weather. Daniel stopped. "Did you feel that?" I looked at him. Before I could answer, his expression changed. His eyes became distant. His breathing slowed. Then he looked directly at me. And when he spoke, his voice wasn't Daniel's. It was Michael's, Elena. My entire body went still. I couldn't breathe. I stared at him. Michael. His eyes filled with tears. Yes, baby. I screamed. Not because I was afraid. Because I had waited 3 years to hear those words. I reached for him. Is it really you? He nodded. It's me. I touched his face. Daniel's face. But somehow, I knew the man looking back at me was Michael. My husband. The love of my life. The man I had buried. How? He smiled sadly. I tried to come back. Why? Because you wouldn't let me go. I began crying. I missed you. I know. I needed you. I know. He pulled me close. We made love for hours, until time no longer existed. He touched me in ways I didn't know I needed. His mouth hungry for every part of me. And for the first time in 3 years, the emptiness inside me disappeared. I didn't care how impossible it was. I didn't care how it could happen. I only cared that he was there. That night, I stopped asking questions. I simply held on to him. And when I finally whispered, "Don't leave me again," he answered, "I won't." After that night, Michael began appearing more often. Sometimes, Daniel would disappear for minutes at a time. Sometimes hours. And when he returned, he wouldn't remember anything. But I remembered. I remembered everything. One evening, Michael appeared again. He looked at me with those familiar eyes. "Do you want me to stay?" My heart broke. "Please." He hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Yes." "You understand what that means?" "I don't care." He came closer. "Then say it." I held his face in my hands. "Stay with me, Michael." The lights flickered. The room became ice cold. And Daniel screamed. I watched as his body collapsed against the bed. For several seconds, everything was silent. Then he lifted his head. And Michael looked back at me. He smiled. "I'm home." From that moment forward, Daniel was gone. Or at least the part of him I had known was gone. Michael had completely taken over. He cooked the way Michael used to cook. He hummed the songs Michael used to sing. He remembered things Daniel could never have known. The secret nickname Michael gave me when we first met. The scar on my knee from when I fell off my bicycle at 17. The first movie we watched together. The promise he made to me on our wedding night. Everything. I had my husband back. And I was happy. At least I thought I was. People started asking questions. My sister came to visit. She stared at him strangely. "Who are you?" Michael smiled. "You know who I am." She looked at me. Then back at him. "Elena. Daniel is dead." I laughed. "No. He's right there." My sister started crying. She called someone. I became angry. I told her to leave. But she wouldn't. Then men came, doctors. They tried to take me away. I fought them. I screamed. I told them they were trying to steal my husband again. Michael held me while they restrained me. "It's okay, baby. Don't let them take me." "I won't." Then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was in a white room. There were no candles, no rain, no Michael. Just white walls, a locked door, and a woman sitting beside my bed. She called herself a doctor. She told me my name was Elena. She told me I had been hospitalized for 3 years. 3 years. I laughed. That can't be right. She showed me photographs. I saw myself sitting in the same room, older, thinner, hollow-eyed. She told me that after Michael died, my depression became severe. She told me I had created an entire world inside my mind. Daniel wasn't real. Michael wasn't inside Daniel. Daniel had never existed. I refused to believe her. Then she showed me the photograph. Michael's funeral. My funeral clothes, the date. 3 years earlier. I stared at the picture, and for one brief second, I remembered. The accident, the phone call, the funeral, the unbearable silence afterward, the years of grief, the hospital. Everything came rushing back. I looked around the room, and I understood. I had built a world where Michael came back. A world where I wasn't alone. A world where I could love him forever. Then I heard something behind me. Elena. I turned. Michael was standing in the doorway. He smiled. My husband. My beautiful husband. The doctor said there was no one there. But I could see him. He held out his hand. Come home, baby. I smiled. And just like that, the hospital disappeared. The white walls became our bedroom. The fluorescent lights became candles. The doctor became a stranger standing outside our world. Michael walked toward me. I reached for him. You came back. I told you I would. He kissed my forehead, and I closed my eyes. Because somewhere deep inside my broken mind, I knew the truth. But I didn't want the truth. I wanted Michael. So I chose him. Every single time. And sometimes, when the doctors managed to bring me back for a few seconds, I remember. I remember that my husband is dead. I remember Daniel never existed. I remember that I'm in a psychiatric hospital. And I remember that the man holding my hand isn't really there. But then Michael whispers my name. And I forget again. Because grief can build beautiful prisons. And sometimes, the most terrifying prison is the one you never want to leave. My name is Elena. And tonight, my husband is waiting for me. So please, don't wake me.
The night is over, but temptation never sleeps. Until next time, my loves, good night.